Gaming is a weird world, and every month Gameranx gathers the weirdest, puts it all in one place for you, and revels in it like a weird cat in a dirty pile of laundry. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Gameranx, 10 weird gaming stories of April 2024. Starting off with number 10, Katsuhiro Harada, the producer on Tekken, has said that younger players of fighting games prefer team-based games rather than one-on-one, so they can shift the blame when they lose. I'll give you the exact quote. "They're rarely eager to engage in one-on-one showdowns. Plus, because fighting games pit you by yourself against a single opponent, you have to accept all the responsibility if you lose. You can't blame someone else. In team-based shooters, when players win, they can say they won because of their own contributions, but when they lose, it's because they got matched with a lousy team." I mean, I see his point, yes, but Tekken 8 took 1 month to reach 1 million sales, which is twice as fast as Tekken 7. Tekken 7 is currently the most successful in the entire series, having sold about 12 million copies. That's a pretty significant outpacing of the sales of the previous most successful title in the series. So I think it's safe to say that the Tekken user base is expanding pretty fast, and you wouldn't have that happen without the younger generation, so I don't know if I think that he's correct. I do think that the accountability criticism he has is true, it's just maybe not generational. I think there are definitely a lot of people who are playing team games for the reasons he described, but I just don't think that's exclusively a generational thing. Tekken 8's sales growth just flies in the face of that very hard, in my opinion. At number 9, the first person to get the Neuralink implant, 29-year-old Nolan Arbaugh, has said it has allowed him to play Civilization 6. Arbaugh is a quadriplegic. He cannot move his arms or legs. And he's saying that this neural implant is allowing him to play Civilization 6. Not Civilization 5, which makes this the weirdest thing I've ever heard. No, I'm joking. The weird thing is that it's actually really impressive that he is able to play a video game using a neural implant. That's crazy. He thinks exactly that. To quote Nolan Arbaugh, "It's crazy. It really is. It's so cool. I'm so freaking lucky to be part of this." And to be clear, that's amazing. I am not saying that there are no concerns that I have for plugging a computer into a human brain. I definitely do. While the technology clearly can improve people's lives, there is also the potential to access us in a way that has never existed before. But as a tool to improve lives, that is just amazing. It's important to remember that tools do what we make them do. I hope this is what we generally make that tool do. At number 8, ever-popular DRM company Denuvo, whom everybody loves, has come up with an amazing new feature. You see, now, when somebody leaks footage of a game, it will contain an invisible watermark so that leakers can be tracked by publishers. Now, I am not calling myself a hard-hitting journalist or anything. I am not that, but there are hard-hitting journalists, and leaks are actually how they get any real scoops a lot of the time. If there are flaws or scammy elements in a game, a lot of the time that's how we find out about them before launch, if we find out about them at all. And Denuvo, the lovely people that they are, said to themselves, you know what? Publishers need more deterrent for leaks. More ways to hold leakers accountable. The company says it uniquely addresses the challenge of content leakage, especially during the sensitive pre-release phase of game development, preserving the overall integrity of the content distribution process. Look, I get the idea of not wanting to have spoilers out there. I get the idea of wanting there to be surprises. But a lot of the time, those surprises are some form of microtransaction or scummy business practice that is somehow worse than microtransactions, or simply not having something that was promised in the game, false advertising essentially. And people are already scared of telling journalists about that stuff, so sometimes they leak stuff anonymously. Well, I guess you can't do that anymore. The software is called Tracemark, and they're saying it shows the de novo commitment to ensuring valuable assets are safeguarded throughout their life cycle. Can you imagine a more heartless, clinical, awful-sounding way of announcing your just garbage features? I hate de novo, and I just hate DRM. At number 7, a modder took a really strange PS1 controller that I was not aware of the existence of and made a pocket PlayStation. I mean, small form factor gaming consoles that are handmade or homebrew is not really a shocking or weird incident now. It's more that I had no idea this controller existed. So it is a real PlayStation controller, and it may look weird as this handheld console itself, but it looks so much weirder before turned into a handheld console. You see, it's a roulette wheel. So the company behind this controller, called Takara, released the Japanese version of the Game of Life. And if you are familiar with the board game and are looking at this controller, you know exactly what this thing does. In fact, I thought it looked familiar when I saw it. I didn't realize it was for the Game of Life, but I thought, that reminds me of something. Oh, it's the Game of Life. Now, the modder that created this little system added in your general stuff that you would want now. SD card, internal battery, USB-C charging. And to be honest, it's pretty sweet. In a lot of ways, it kind of flies in the face of the aesthetic of like the Game Boy, which was the 90s handheld of choice. Obviously, the screen itself is a square, but it rests inside a big old circle, which is just weird to look at. At number 6, somebody beat the Ebony Warrior in Skyrim in under 12 minutes. You see, the Ebony Warrior is a fight in Skyrim that you cannot partake in under level 80. And players use it as a speed run, basically utilizing exploits to get to level 80 very fast and then taking out the Ebony Warrior, obviously. The previous record was 3 years ago in 2021, and it was 14 minutes and 27 seconds. 80 levels in less than 15 minutes. Given it stood for so long, it was kind of assumed that it wasn't going to be beaten, and then somebody has come up with a completely new route that allowed them to win in 11 minutes and 47 seconds. Previously, that record was held by Waz and a guy named Nuclear. Yes, Nuclear. That's how it has to be spelled for the pronunciation to be nuclear, everyone. He managed it at 11 minutes and 47 seconds, which is completely insane. I don't know how somebody packs all of the information necessary to do in an order that ends in this result, but I'll say I'm impressed. At number 5, people playing Helldivers 2 were given a task. The newest major order included killing 2 billion bugs, which a lot of people thought was a daunting task to do over the course of a week, but they weren't allowed to think it for too long because it was done in 12 hours. Yes, people estimated it was going to be a week, and it was half of a day. 2 billion is a lot, might I add. It's about a quarter of the amount of people that are on the planet in real life, not in a game world, like the actual number of people, and that's killing that many terminids, bugs. That requires some serious efficiency. It boils down to about 15 kills per player in the game for 12 hours straight. And that's assuming that for the most part, it was in the upper end of the 180,000 peak concurrent players for that day, which again, pretty impressive. There are people who think that maybe the counter was inaccurate, but I'll bet not. That sounds possible to me. At number 4, the parry has become a very popular aspect of video games. Parrying attacks, parrying projectiles, lots of parrying going on. But there's a game in development that actually allows you to parry gravity. Yes, as you are falling, when you get to the ground, if you treat it as though you have a little blink of time to parry the ground, you can. The game's called VA Proxy. This is the only thing I know about it, but I really do enjoy the implication of it. which is that via gravity you are under attack by the planet and that you are deflecting that attack using these parries. I don't know, it does look cool as hell, in all seriousness. At number 3, a former video game company executive had the gall to say that people should tip developers. So I want to go ahead and say this right now. I think game developers should be paid more. And I think that should be on a salary basis. And I think that they should plan development better so that there isn't crunch. I do support the idea of putting more money into the pockets of developers, but nobody brings up tipping when they actually want to put more money into people's pockets. Tipping in the restaurant industry is used to avoid paying employees a real wage. In a tipped wage position, you can earn $2 an hour legally. I promise you, that's what's going through a game executive's mind when they are talking about this type of thing. They are thinking about how they could pay less upfront to their developers, and I find it hard to believe that this is for any other reason. And number 2 is CD Projekt Red. They're always fun. They decided to make fun of Ubisoft calling Skull and Bones a quadruple A game by saying they will make, I don't even know how to say this, but 5 A's. I don't know what comes after quadruple, but I do know that there's 5 A's in her comment. I think that's great. Ubisoft absolutely deserves their balls busted so hard for Skull and Bones. It's not that it's a terrible game or anything. It's just not a decade plus of development. Like, it's that simple. And then calling it quadruple A as though it's somehow above and beyond that of what we expect from a AAA game. Shut up. At least we know some of these executives still have their feet on the ground. And finally, at number 1, Ubisoft is stripping licenses a few weeks after shutting down The Crew. Now, as you might expect, people who like The Crew want to run fan servers and make it work without Ubisoft's blessing. So Ubisoft decided to start removing licenses from players who owned the game. Players only noticed this when they went to the game's library page and noticed a message that said, "You no longer have access to this game. Why not check the store to pursue your adventures?" So we've never actually bought games or movies or anything. Even on physical media, we have never actually owned the content itself. That license that is at the beginning of every piece of content going back to like the 1980s or so, I don't even know when they started putting it. It goes back till before I can remember. But that was about you not actually owning the thing. The thing is, when we had physical media, there was no way for them to take it back. If somebody from MGM showed up at your house and asked for their copy of GoldenEye back, you would tell them to F off. That is no longer the case when the license is stored on Ubisoft servers. All they have to do is press a button. It's the license destroyer button. They press it whenever they feel like making sure that you know that you own nothing. It's ruthless. I hate this. And I hate that this is where everything is going. The thing is, online games are infinitely more convenient. They can be updated easier, etc., etc. There are a whole lot of advantages to a digital ecosystem in gaming, but we are so screwed in this respect. I doubt there's anything that can actually be done about this because it's right there in the license. It is a revocable license. Look at it. Look at all of the messages. You will find the word revocable generally. And you agree to that by simply playing the game. It sucks a lot, and it needs to change. I don't know if it will, though. I do have a bonus story for you because that's kind of a downer to leave on. It's really just a fun April Fool's joke from Razer, introducing their Cthulhu chair, which is obviously not real. It's just the Doc Ock arms as a chair. There is a little allusion to something that might be a little risque, a little ways in. I don't know what's going on with this arm right here at 23 seconds. What's that doing? Whatever. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable the notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.